Okay, I just can't deal with that intro anymore. Then there's a countdown timer, and I just can't deal with that intro anymore. So hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Vengreso Live. Part of the reason I couldn't wait anymore is I am like super psyched to have my friend Andrea Waltz on this show today. We met back when I got started in social media. That was like my first event that I'd ever gone to that Bob Berg invited me to. And that was probably 2006, maybe.
Yeah, forever ago.
Forever ago. It's I think Go for No had just come out. Like, wow, like how life has changed in the past, 15, 16 years. So, okay. So Andrea Waltz, co-author with her husband of Go for No. She is amazing. We're going to talk about the book. We're going to talk about rejection and why it's a good thing and not a bad thing, at least when it comes to selling. I don't know, it could apply to dating too. Tell my audience a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah. So I'm the co-founder with my husband, Richard Fenton, of Courage Crafters. That's the name of our company. And we left our corporate jobs at Lens Crafters where we met over 20 years ago. And so it was only fitting that when we decided to finally incorporate our company, that we decided, okay, let's craft courage. So we became Courage Crafters instead of Lens Crafters. And
I didn't know that. That's so cool.
Yeah. And I wake up pretty much every day figuring out, okay, how can I reach people and teach them about the Go for No philosophy, strategy, message, which is in order to be more successful, in order to hear yes more in your business, you have to be willing to hear more no's. You have to be willing to fail more often. So it's an interesting challenge. It's fun each and every day. When we first launched our company, though, our prospects were retail organizations, large retail companies. That's who we did training and spoke for. Anybody that you would see walking through the mall. And all of the things that we talked about, we were teaching customer service strategies, and we were teaching sales floor management strategies. But Go for No was the one little message that people kind of they picked up on. And we were going, I remember one time we went into this break room and we saw this big poster that said Go for No. And we looked at each other and we're like, wow, people really like this. Like, maybe we should transform our business into just this. So eventually, we just became Courage Crafters, and we talk about rejection all day long. It's nothing but fun.
Well, I mean, it's so cool. I mean, so it's so iconic. I mean, I think anyone in sales, and to your point, a lot of retailers and even entrepreneurs, we know that phrase, Go for No. And I think I'm always saying that and quoting you and quoting Bob, and, all things being equal, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And I just think it's so ironic that those two came together, 15 years ago. Now we're back together. And in case you didn't know where that Go for No came from, in case you just jumped on the live, this lady right here, whichever way I'm supposed to be pointing, this lady right here, she and her husband, Richard, wrote that book. And so let's jump into it, because I know that a lot of people don't become salespeople because they're fear of rejection. They don't like hearing no. A lot of entrepreneurs are forced into sales because, they're entrepreneurs, maybe even solopreneurs. But no is not a bad thing, right? We've got to learn how to, and that's the title of today, we've got to learn how to leverage rejection for sales success. So talk to me a little bit about why is rejection good?
Yeah, I mean, well, we've created quite a marketing challenge for ourselves, right? I'm out here, we're like, rejection is good, I swear, believe me, trust me. And Viveka, you know this to be true. It's like, it doesn't matter if you are messaging someone on LinkedIn for as simple as just a connection, or walking up to somebody at a networking event. Can be scary. It can be, you question like, gosh, is this person, what are they going to think of me? How am I going to come across? And so it really requires that courage to be willing to fail, and to be willing to hear a no when you get with a prospect and when you're actually nose to nose selling a product or service. So that really is the whole crux of the challenge, is to make people understand that they need to take action, and they need to put themselves out there. And in today's world, that looks like so much. That looks like branding and social media, and then just your good old fashioned prospecting, and being willing to talk to people, ask questions, figure out how you can sell them something that they both want and need. And you've got to be willing to face those no's. So it's beneficial, because the alternative is really where we run into problems. Like the alternative is, okay, well, I'm only going to people who I think will accept my connection, or I'm only going to call on those companies who I think I'm best appropriate for. No, it's go for no. No is a perfectly acceptable answer, but if you don't ask the question, you're gonna stay stuck in mediocrity.
Yeah, 100%. And this wasn't on our roster of questions to ask you, but it occurs to me, I grew up on the edge of the generation that everyone got a participation award. Everyone got a good job, even if they sucked. And I think that's really hurt, especially the sales industry, because we're so used to being good job, that we're not used to any kind of criticism, and we're not used to hearing no. Now, I heard no a lot from my parents, so I'm comfortable with it. But a lot of my generation and the generations that came after are not used to hearing no. So you have something called a no quotient. I think that speaks to this discomfort. And if not, just explain it to me. But what is this no quotient, and why is it so important?
Yeah, so the no quotient is our very non-scientific assessment that we created. But it's a fun assessment, because it's a 20-question quiz that asks you questions about your risk tolerance, really, your tolerance around hearing the word no, your mindset around failure. Like this idea of, if I hear the word no a second time, I should quit, Do I agree with that statement, or do I disagree with that statement? And so it's this great little tool to give you a framework of where you're starting from. Because like you said, we've all been taught and trained, and I think even more so of, that we're good and we got the participation, but there's this stigma, and it's cultural. It's all over the world. I have had people from almost every country. I mean, whether it's in Africa, it's New Zealand, it's India. I mean, you name the continent, and people have messaged me saying this is an issue, and the issue is that we've all been taught to avoid failure. Right. And failure and rejection go hand in hand, because if you get a no, you have failed. So the whole idea is, well, we don't want to look stupid. We want to be successful. So we're going to avoid failure with everything that we have. And that's why the no quotient is so important, because it really gets people focused on, I need to change how I think about this, so that I realize that when I start hearing no, because this is what she's suggesting, that's the crazy strategy, that I'm not actually off the path, I'm on the path.
100%. Any sales leader, any business leader out there who's got a sales team, like it's a free quiz, right?
Yeah. It's a free quiz.
Down below, go for no/your-no-q. After the show, I'll get it into the different streams, into the links, so y'all can quote there. But wouldn't it be interesting to know, I mean, if they tell the truth, wouldn't it be interesting to know your sales team, are they comfortable with no or not? And so now there's a non-scientific and yet very revealing quiz that 20 questions. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it after.
Fast and easy.
That's very cool.
Yeah, because here's the thing. I mean, nobody's sitting in the meeting going like, people are talking like, all right, we're down 15%. What's going on? What are the problems? I'm afraid of rejection.
Yeah.
Pick me. I don't want to fail. Right. And so it's like, no, so everybody just sits around going, well, we're not doing enough, it's marketing's fault or whatever.
It's always marketing's fault, isn't it?
Yeah, or we have a supplier issue and so I can't sell this because, we don't have the product.
Or the price is too high.
Or the price is too high or the product, So so that fear of rejection, and sales leaders do need to be aware of it. I always call it, I know everybody loves the term elephant in the room. There's probably about 19 elephants in the room, or you can't fit another elephant in the room, but this is one of them, right? This is one of them. And I've seen many companies who, we've done training for, where the leadership and the management were in the room and they're all over it. And they're like, yes, we believe in this. And they helped people implement the Go for No behaviors. And then I've been in the companies where we're doing training and literally the VP of sales walks out for 2 hours. And what is that? And so from a sales leadership perspective, people have to be on board with this idea. So the fascinating thing is I get more individual sellers from all different walks of life finding us who are like, I need help with this, because they recognize the problem, but they're probably not sharing it with their sales manager because they just don't want to go there.
They feel they're going to be judged for it, because what salesperson is afraid of no? Well, guess what? A bunch are, but there's this persona of like, I'm bulletproof. Yeah, no problem. And the second you become vulnerable and admit that you're afraid of the no, that you're afraid of the rejection, then, all the judgment comes down, or at least that's the feeling, I imagine.
Absolutely. And we can't when you're getting a lot of no's too, it's so hard to admit the emotional toll that it takes, but also the strategy. There's a lot of strategy that we can learn, and this is where the leverage comes in, which is, all right, so be honest. So you're getting a lot of no's. Let's figure out why that is.
Why?
Right.
Exactly.
And so are you all of a sudden talking to the wrong people? Are you having conversations that just aren't going anywhere? Or are you having a stumbling block where you keep getting knocked down because of the price and you can't handle the price objection? So there's so much value to it. And I think that when it's not stigmatized, then we can have these great conversations of, all right, how do we get around this? How do we fix this?
Yeah, exactly. And, I love the term failing forward. This takes it to a whole new level. You talk about failing exponentially, failing big. I'm going, okay, is this like clickbait? Do you really want to fail exponentially?
Yes. This should be clickbait. This is, this is a great, I don't even think about stuff like that. You see, that's why I need to be talking with you for these great marketing and branding tips of, get out there and fail big. Yeah. We did this in our company when we launched. I mean, our Richard and my beginning was, it was absurd. It was absurd how bad everything that we had was. It was ridiculous. Now, of course, in today's world, we have you can actually do your own graphic design and hire someone on Fiverr and you can produce materials and all of that. So back in the day, not so much.
No.
So we struggled but we still went after the big no. We called on Fortune 500 companies and we got the business because admittedly, we spoke their language, and that was really, obviously that's always important from a sales standpoint, right? Yeah. And we were solving a particular problem in that niche, but at the same time, we were putting ourselves out there and we were going for it. And so that's what failing exponentially is all about. It's about team failure. It is going after those clients that you don't think you'd quote deserve to work for. It's even going after the job that is the dream job that you feel like I'll never qualify for this. Well,
Right.
why don't you sit down with somebody from the organization and get to know them, and maybe you won't qualify this time, but maybe you will in 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's the power of that failing big. Yeah.
You find them on LinkedIn, talk to them there.
Right. Exactly.
Well, and I love what you said, like, why not go for the big fish? And again, pulling in our friend Jill Conrath, selling to big companies. That was one of the first books when I'm like, okay, leaning a little bit more towards sales from marketing, because I started out more in marketing, although I'm graphically impaired, so that was ironic. I went for no too. I went for failure too, clearly.
There you go.
Right? But why not go for the big fish? Why not go for the big deals? Why, well, I know why not, because people are afraid of getting the no, but getting over that means you could be significantly more successful. So how do people get over it though?
Well, that's a really good question. That's why I am paid
Just get over
the big
it.
bucks.
Okay.
Yes. No, you really, the way that you get over the fear is by taking action. And it's the most cliche, oh my God, I just hate to even say it, but it actually is true. There is such a thing as numbing yourself to no. Yeah. And the great salespeople that are out there they just pick up the phone and they make the calls, they do get over it really quickly because the quantity is there. As opposed to spending 2 weeks practicing your presentation, figuring out, making sure the temperature is right in the office. It's got to be 733.2 degrees in order. If it goes down 1/10 of a degree or up, it's not a good time. Like, we cannot make the call, right? So you're monitoring everything, and then you make this one momentous phone call and it's got to go perfectly. No, it really is about getting out there and taking action. And there's some other strategies as well. Like from the emotional standpoint, I talk about this all the time, that we are biologically wired to not be rejected, to not get thrown out of the try, right? So the internal, and this, of course, comes from the brain, and it goes through your vagus nerve, and those negative feelings, those kind of in your pit of your stomach, upsettedness feeling is not going to go away overnight. It is just wired. The idea is recognize it and go like, okay, I understand why this is happening and I can survive it. And then it also comes down to the second piece is, well, then how also can I get skilled at handling it? In other words, leveraging it. And this goes back to what we talked about a couple of minutes ago, which is where is the valuable info? Yeah. If you're not, right, if you save up all week and you make that one call, what are we really learning in terms of, are you talking to qualified prospects or not? How's the offer? Where are the price objections? Or maybe you're getting an objection just to have a meeting, right? Without the quantity of data, even 10 versus 1, all you can do is just make assumptions and just say, well, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm going to give up. Yeah, exactly. And I love our sales teams on the call right now too. Exactly. You've got it. The more you do it, the more comfortable you become with it. Jack loves your numb to the no. and Frank says again, no one likes to be rejected, but you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And then Rob said earlier, I love this. Rob with one mob Rob, our friend Rob Rashoot, one mob Rob said, for every no, there's a yes. Yeah. Yeah. And you just, you gotta go for the no to get the yes. And then I like what Adam said too, because, oh my gosh, sometimes no is an indicator from the universe that you got to step away. Because I have had that. I fought for a deal, had that weird feeling in my gut, closed the deal, freaking biggest disaster of my professional life. Should have tried to dodge that bullet. So a part of this go for the no is getting numb to the no, but part of it is also listening to your intuition and what's a true no and what's a oh, the price is too high, or what's a true no and what's a not really a no. You need more clarification. I love that. And that is, that's a skill too, right? Is really having that clarity and that, this is like negotiation one-on-one. It's having the courage to walk away, and to walk away when sometimes it's really obvious, and poor salespeople will, try to put a square peg into a round hole, and they'll be like, no, we can do this. We can get the product to you when you want. No, not true. We can, we can do this. We can do that.
Let's overpromise and underdeliver.
Exactly. Right. Yes. That'll get us referrals. We've all seen that poor salespeople will work with, work with the no and pressure and all of that. But so sometimes it requires having that intuition. And I know that for any business, any industry, we all want black and white concrete answers, right? And sales is, I think everyone would agree who's watching this, sales is part science. There are things that you do, and there's a lot of art involved. And the art comes in through experience, through having these things, having like your experience. And now, you say, there was signs, but I missed them, or I chose to ignore them. And now it's using your intuition. Intuition is, I think, really huge in sales. But how do you teach intuition? You can't. You just have to say, go out there and experience it and fail. I also had we always say a good no is better than a bad yes. Which is to your point. So sometimes you don't want to get those bad yeses. You don't want to fit those in. I did the same thing. I took a deal, and actually the funny thing was we tried to get out of it, and we begged this client. We're like, we do not think we're the right fit for you. You guys want us to train like the material that you're creating, and we're coming in with like you're hiring us for our material. And they're like, no, you're wrong. You've got it all wrong. And we're like, really? I don't think we do. But then we wanted the yes. And so the go for no people wanted a yes. So we were like, all right, we'll go forward. Right. And then it happened again. And we ended up, everybody canceled, and people, they were not happy, and we weren't happy. And so, it's just lesson.
That's what we called an AFCO, another fun growth opportunity.
Oh, I like that. I've never heard that one.
With whatever word you want, but.
Oh my gosh. AFCO. Okay.
AFCO for no.
Yes. That goes hand in hand with go for no, for sure.
Exactly. AFCO for no. So you were mentioning earlier, because I know we're coming up on time now. We're going to have you back on. You mentioned earlier that, a lot of people are uncomfortable talking about their discomfort with no in front of their sales leaders. And you mention in your book that your leadership needs to reward people for failures and successes. Now, obviously, we can see the power of, awarding people for their successes, but what does it even look like to reward someone for their failure? Like, what does that even look like in a leadership meeting? Mario wants to know.
Okay. So this does not have to be a big, substantial reward, compensation, et cetera, right? But just the recognition. So the example I always like to use is you have one person who follows up with a client, let's say, and they get a yes, and everybody goes like, oh, congratulations, right? And then you have someone else on the other side who maybe has made 25, 100 contacts, and they're just beating their heads against the wall for whatever reason. We all have bad streaks, right? And but so they've been in action. It's really important to recognize the activity, not just the result. That is really what that comes down to, is just rewarding for the activity, the quote failures that didn't turn into yeses. And if you do have somebody out there who's doing enough activity, who's making those contacts, who's following up, and the results aren't there, this is just a lot of planting of seeds that haven't come up to harvest yet. And it's important for leaders not just to only look at the results, but to really look at like, what is this person's activity? Are they out there planting a lot of seeds that hopefully will come to fruition? it's really important as a leader to stay on top of that and make sure that person knows how to cultivate that and kind of build on that relationship and have the, the tools and the collateral to do that. And that I think is where the leader's role is, to pay attention to that activity, to know what's going on and to help that person, because that planting of seeds is just as important as the one yes that maybe it was kind of easy.
Well, and I love that you brought this up, because first of all, you got to look at the size of the deal. And of course, we're going for big deals now. You got to look at the size of the deal. You got to look at the size of the buying committee. You got to look at the lead time between first conversation and close. And how many times has a salesperson worked a deal for like a year? No, and then quit or stopped going for the no. And just one more no would have led to a yes, right? Just one more call would have led to a yes. Just one different way of engaging, one different, omni-channel approach, one different approach would have shifted that. Like, how many times do we get 99% there and then fail at the end? And we're not, and probably because we're not getting any support.
Yeah, that is so true. And we know today that there's so many factors involved in decision making, and and our input as salespeople is so small, like it's one of the factors. And so to constantly stay involved in that and pay attention to the fact that people's suppliers are going to change, their business needs are going to change. Everything changes so ubiquitous, right? It's happening all the time. And people are also, this is my favorite thing, as bad as this may sound, the organization is constantly changing people in leadership. Yeah. I mean, that was the biggest thing for me, is I would call on a company and get no from the vice president of HR for a year or two. The next thing you know, there's a new VP of HR and they're like, send me information. This looks fantastic. And I'm like, yes, because I'm paying attention to who the decision makers are. That's also huge.
Yeah. Like Jack said, even failure involves effort. I love that. And that, again, that's why we're, big fans of Sales Navigator, because it allows us to keep our eye on our points of contact, but also on the company. And to your point, like, what a great trigger. Doing, someone left the company. Doing, someone got into the company. That's how we've closed a lot of our deals, is people that we worked with in this company and they moved. And now we're like, hey, you want to take us in your new company too? Yeah, sure.
Right. So, you establish that relationship and you pay attention. And a lot of times it doesn't, it takes a long time for these things to pay off. Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. Okay, we have 3 minutes left. I want to make sure that everyone is following Andrea. On Twitter, you're Go for No, and on LinkedIn, you're Go for No. That's pretty easy. That's like me with LinkedIn Expert, right? So
right, exactly. Yeah, you got to brand, well branded.
Exactly. All right, as we wrap up, what final words of advice? What questions do you have? What more do you have to say?
Well, let's see. What do I want to say? I would just leave everybody with just kind of a fun, practice this, create a no awareness. So really look at, like, okay, do I get no's? Do I get any no's anywhere? And practice it. Like, do something crazy, ask for like a free cookie at the grocery store from the bakery. Right. Like, just practice your ability to ask. And I think you see, it's not as scary as we think. Yeah. And once you have that awareness, then from there, you can actually start measuring and start increasing. And Viveka, we do like Go for No challenges, where we tell people, take 7 days and set a no goal each day and challenge yourself to see how many no's you can get. So there's a lot of fun things that you can do implementation wise.
Yeah, that would really numb you. I mean, if you started walking, like you just run into someone, hey, can I have $1? Hey, you might make a few extra dollars, but and I think, and again, I have no idea. I'm totally making this up. I could be completely wrong, but I feel like physiologically, a no from a $50,000 company physiologically actually feels the same as a no from someone who on the corner of the street that you ask $1 for. Like, I know if that's I mean, I don't know.
If
rejection.
Right. Well, if the fear of risk and the fear of loss is fairly identical, then it starts to. That's why we don't tend to have the same reaction when we get a safe no. Like you tell your husband, I want to go to Italian, and he says no. You go like, all right, oh well. Right. You don't have the same reaction. So it's a fascinating topic.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, everyone, if you haven't, or if you're just jumping on right now, this was Andrea Waltz, and you need to watch the replay. But we were talking about going for no, and how going for no can actually get you some pretty strong yeses. And you'll see in the ticker below, they've got a no quotient quiz. I recommend, if you are a business owner and doing your own selling, you definitely take this quiz. If you're a salesperson, take this quiz. And if you're a sales leader, have your team take this quiz, and then hire Andrea and her husband, Richard, to come and work with you and your team. Awesome. Thank you so much for being on.
Absolutely. So much fun. Yes, we will have your team failing in no time.
Yeah. Don't worry. T-shirt. Let us help you fail.
Yes.
No, it's about going for no so that you can succeed. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for being on today's live, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. See you later, everyone.